always had faith in me and always gave me a chance. And so Chris Ledbetter gave me a chance, and then Cody Hawk, knowing that I've got respect for the business that's needed, and knowing that I've got the passion, knew that, you know, if I give this guy a chance, he's going to do something good. So a lot of people give me chances here and there. And then later on in my career, I don't want to forget this guy's name, Denham Blood, really put a little faith in me as well. So over the years, I just started doing more and more wrestling, and I became a full-time wrestler, doing not only hardcore, but, you know, just good wrestling. And over the years, I've had this weird Benjamin Button thing where most people will start off as a wrestler and their body breaks down and maybe they become a manager, then an announcer, and I've done it the exact opposite, to where at the age of 45, I feel like I'm better now than I was at the age of 40. Somehow I just feel like I keep learning and keep getting better, and I've suddenly realized, holy crap, I'm not a terrible wrestler at all.
You know, Cooks, your career, in many regards, parallels that of a little-known competitor that perhaps a few listeners have heard of, you know, perhaps. Diamond Dallas Page, former WCW World Heavyweight Champion. He very much, you know, an absolute parallel. He was a commentator, a manager, and then became a wrestler later in life, and became quite a successful wrestler, to the point where, you know, now people still remember him from the glory days of World Championship Wrestling. And of course, all the boys love DDP Yoga, myself included, to give Paige a quick little plug there. But, you know, that is a story of perseverance, to say the very least. The story of Hooks is a story of perseverance. You had a dream.
I appreciate you saying that.
Of course. I mean, you had a childhood dream of something that you always wanted to do. You, like many people, including myself, had convinced yourself that it was just a dream, that it would never happen, that you were too old, that circumstances just didn't play out to your favor. But you still... I honestly believe this, that if you are that fixated and fascinated and obsessed with a certain goal, then by happenstance, advertently, inadvertently, consciously, subconsciously, the universe will create opportunities for you to do what you truly love and what you truly are passionate about. That's exactly what happened with you. Is that you love pro wrestling, and you loved it to such a degree that the universe presented unique opportunities for you to basically, in some ways, to take baby steps towards finally realizing your full dream and goal of stepping inside of a ring. But, I mean, you overcame physical ailments, you overcame personal setbacks, and you still got it done, man. And I'll have to say this, Hooks, is that when I was doing photography, scouting talent, plotting and pining away, waiting for the right moment to emerge fully as the gentleman that you now know as David Barnabas Spector, when I was ringside studying individuals, studying you, to be truthful, without a doubt, and I still have photos that you probably haven't seen, some of the goriest, bloodiest images I have ever captured through the lens of my camera were of the Heavy Metal Viking Hooks. At War Wrestling, Battle on the Border, in a special HWA reunion show at Bogart's. The images make a horror film look like an episode of the Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah, it's got my image from War II. I had a run up there at War, nothing but for calm up there. But I had a year-long run up there, and it's funny you talk about it there, because I had a match up there that was by far one of the bloodiest, more violent matches I've ever had. I actually have a T-shirt that I sell that is that captures an image from that show. Yeah, I've spilled a lot, but I just people ask me all the time why I'm such a fan of the hardcore style and why I like to do it. And I can't give a good answer. When I was a kid, I loved watching, like I said, the matches, and there's an exhilaration and a thrill I get from going out there and doing it and doing it well. And I know there's a lot of people that look down on the hardcore style. I'm not trying to change anybody's mind, but it takes a degree of skill. It's not like I don't just go out there and bleed and swing weapons for the sake of doing it. I try to put a meaning behind it and a psychology to it. And I know there's people that might scoff at that, but it's the fact that there is. It's telling the story just like any other wrestling match, and it's a niche I've carved for myself to where I don't think it's cocky to say that when you think of hardcore in this area, you do think of me, and it's not something I take lightly. The fans respond to it, and the fans expect a certain level of performance from me, and I like to give them that every time I step out there. And Cody and Chris Ledbetter and Big T Denham have all given me the platform to do that. Would help me branch out and do it in other places too. Yeah, I try and rationally explain to somebody why I actually enjoy going out and falling into barbed wire and thumbtacks and glass. I possibly begin to tell you what kind of weird thought process goes into that. But I look forward to those matches. I really enjoy them. But I also like the fact that over the last few years, I've proved to people that there's more to me than that. There's different sides to who I am as a pro wrestler. I can bleed for you and get violent. I can go out and make you laugh. I can go out there and go toe to toe with some of the best wrestlers out there.
I will say this, Hooks, that you, in many ways, have helped to, for me personally, to change some of my views on hardcore wrestling. Because admittingly, I am not the biggest fan of the hardcore genre. But with saying that, though, from knowing you, from seeing you compete inside the ring, to seeing you give everything you've got and then some each and every time you do one of these matches. And I know the thought process that's involved. I see the work that's put in. I see the planning and the psychology. And I realize that, I have seen hardcore matches where just it was not pretty. And it was completely unskilled individuals that were trying to do it. You, however, are incredibly skilled. I would dare say excellent at what you do, whether it be a hardcore match or just a normal wrestling match. You're at this point, you're a respected veteran in any locker room that you reside in. And, even though the individuals that you mentioned before, your Cody Hawks, your Chris Ledbetters, your Big T's, man, it's hard for me to even say Ledbetter's name because I can't stand that guy. Matter of fact, I can't stand all three of those guys. I've got issues with each and every one of them.
There's no love lost. There's no love lost between me and Chris Ledbetter right now, too. So for me to mention him and say good things about him, I can't deny what he's done for me in the past, but you've seen what he's done to me at Battle on the Border. So
the guy, he's an absolute snake in the grass. Absolute snake in the grass. Pretends for the people that he's some kind of a hero and a great guy. He's not. Absolutely not. Very skilled. Great in regards to, he and Big T have ran LSC for a number of years successfully. An independent promotion to last as long as they have lasted, that takes a certain amount of being a professional, being skilled, being good at what you do. I'm not going to take anything away from Ledbetter on that, but as far as him, Ledbetter and Darkness Worldwide and Big T and Cody Hawk, we've got some business. But I don't want to ruin the tone of our conversation.
Right? Yeah. We'll
They helped. They helped to nurture you and to train you and to prepare you for a world of being an active competitor inside the ring. And you talked about people, asking you why you do the hardcore style. I know you and I have spoke before about your love of horror movies, and perhaps that was a part of it. I also know that this area, once upon a time, was an area that was very much dominated by the Sheik, the original Sheik out of Detroit, obviously legendary, known for the hardcore style. So I have to think that there's some rumination, some past history, some past images, some past love of that style that just tends to continue to live and linger and survive throughout the entire state of Ohio due to that legacy of the original Sheik. But when it comes to your love of horror films, that brings us to not just Hooks, the announcer and the broadcaster, not just Hooks, the professional wrestler / hardcore competitor, but also Hooks, the actor. When exactly did you get involved with acting?
Well, I've had a streak in me ever since I was a little kid that I like to perform. I knew that I was always, no matter what I did with my life, I knew that I was always going to be involved in entertainment somehow. And I did drama in high school. So I started early on after I moved to Ohio. I moved to Ohio in '99. I met a guy named David Barnabas, still a good friend of mine to this day. We worked together, and he had gone to film school and was, an aspiring filmmaker. And he came to me back in 2010, and he had written a called Inhuman Witch, which you can find on Amazon Prime. It does exist now. And he said, I've got a part just perfect for you, and I'd like you to play it. And I'd never done a film and a role, and we made ourselves a movie, and as I said, it's free on Amazon Prime if you want to try and find it. But that, along with my friendship with him, sparked us and a couple other guys, a couple production company called Argo On Productions. And we have made several short films. We shot that feature-length Inhuman Witch. We actually just shot feature-length last about a year ago, which is right now in the editing stages, and we're hoping to have it out by the end of the year. I mean, the original plan was to hopefully get it out by spring and have a release party in a theater, but with the situation of the world right now, it's hard telling when that'll be possible. But anyway, we've done several short films. We've done some music videos for some local bands. We've done the 2 features, and there's a couple other projects where we've gotten the works that we're writing. And so that on an independent level is how I got started doing that. Acting has always just felt natural to me. But also, a lot of the wrestling fans, all the wrestling fans will know who I'm talking about when I talk about David J., the Agent of the Stars, which is not just a wrestling character, a wrestling gimmick. David J. and I have been friends for a long time, and as fans know, we've not always seen eye to eye in the ring, but he and I have been friends for a long time, and he lived in L.A. for quite some time, and he also went to film school and has been involved in the movie business. There's so many Hollywood productions you can catch David J. in as an extra, and he works as a production assistant and as an extras wrangler. And so several years ago, there was a John Travolta movie shooting in Columbus, and he needed background actors, and he got me a job doing that. And so I went up, and that was my first experience on a major Hollywood set. And it was great. If you watch the movie, it's called I Am Wrath, and it's not a very good movie, and I don't think you saw my face in it, but I was in the background. And there I was. I was a bodyguard standing there. Hey, I've been in a Hollywood production now. And so through him, I got my foot in the door with that, and have done a few other movies where I was background or whatever. And then a couple years ago, a movie was shot in Cincinnati called Donnybrook, where they needed stunt actors. And the stunt coordinators came to a wrestling show and met some of us. And so myself and Cody Hawk